when I was thinking about my most impactful teacher or teachers, I have the horrific stories of the teachers that were not kind to me, right? That taught me lessons about what not to become when I grow up as an adult. And there's also my most current teachers, and those are my children. Um, and I know that you had asked me about unschooling. What does that mean? And really, unschooling is tied to my children. So my children, who Judah and Keanu, Judah's 8, he's my eldest, and my youngest, Keanu, who's 6. We have entered this journey of unschooling probably intentionally about 4 years ago, when Judah was entering preschool. And I didn't really even know there was such a option for families until we decided he wasn't ready at 4 to enter school. So I started doing some research around what are the options in terms of, I could homeschool for a little while, then we'll put him into school. And I fell in love with Akila S. Richards' podcast, Fear of the Free Child, where she talks about unschooling really being a pathway for liberation, parenting, and living a liberated lifestyle. And I was just like, wow, this stuff is really good. So I started learning some more, and I realized that unschooling is a form of self-directed education, and it's really, I interpret it as connecting to learning and the way our human bodies were designed to naturally learn, right? There's nothing really revolutionary about it. People have been doing it for a long time. And this intuitiveness for us to follow the lead of our bodies, if we follow our intuition will lead to a learning pathway that is meant for us, that is deeply meaningful and purposeful for ourselves and our communities. I didn't understand that really. All the podcasts and books I was learning about didn't really connect until I started watching my children. So, the big life lesson for me that my kids taught me in terms of what self-directed education really looks like is, I share this story, and I like to call it, the story of like how one gecko and 100 mealworms taught my son how to read. And we all know that a gecko and a mealworm can't read a book, right? But my son's passion for animals, my son's passion for caring for animals, for problem solving issues with animals that he came across, really led to him developing his literacy skills. And not just his literacy skills, but his problem solving, his critical thinking. And so I remember, one day Judah, who's now 8, and at that time he was probably somewhere between, 6.5 and 7 years old, he wanted a gecko. And my husband and I were like, we don't know anything about reptiles. I don't know how to take care of a reptile. And he said, don't worry, Mom, I've been doing research and I know what a gecko needs. I watch Coyote Peterson and all these other YouTubers that talk about animals and reptiles versus salamanders and their habitats and the food that they eat. And he says, I know what kind, we have to get a certain size tank and a certain kind of lamp, and you have to put this in the tank and in order to keep the skin moist and all of these things. I'm like, oh my God, he learned all these things from like researching on YouTube. And then I remember him one day saying, yeah, Mom, it's costing us, we bought the gecko. And he says, it's costing me a lot of money, because he would use his own dollars to buy, mealworms and crickets for his hungry little gecko. And he realized, okay, this is costing me a lot of money. So he said, I've been doing some research. I've been researching online, what are how to purchase these mealworms from different websites that people breed mealworms. And I looked at the costs and I thought, this is getting too expensive, whether I buy it online or whether I buy it from the store. Why don't I just breed my own mealworms? So today I want to research how to breed mealworms. And I thought, oh my God, I gave into the dry, scaly reptile. Now I'm going to give into like having these like wriggly mealworms in my house. So, but I was watching my son as he was researching develop his his writing skills. I was watching him develop his phonetic reading skills. He was problem solving an issue, right? Of like, I don't want to keep spending my money. He was developing his computation skills around math and like, how things cost and how you can budget and save money. And so I said, okay, I'm going to help you. I'll support you in your research. And we would sit by the computer for hours. I wouldn't tell him how to spell words. I would ask him, what's your research question? And he would say, I think that this is the question I want to type. And how do you spell this word? And I would say, well, how do you sound out? Let's sound out that word together. And he'd sound it out and he'd type the words. And then he'd say, can you help me read what this says? And we'd sound that out together. And all of this, my son is developing his reading skills, where my schoolishness mindset at one time believed he doesn't love to read, right? Because when I tried, I'm a former classroom teacher. So, and I was a special needs teacher. So I taught struggling, learners how to read. And so when I first tried teaching him how to read at 4, he was completely shut down. He was just like, this isn't fun. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it the way that you want to do it. And I had to back away. But in my mind, I thought, he doesn't love to read. Like, what's wrong, right? And it wasn't that he didn't enjoy reading. It was that he didn't see any purposeful connection to it, right? And so his passion connected him to have to develop the cultural skills to access the information that he needed. And I consider reading, basic reading and basic math and writing as cultural skills, because in our current society, we cannot pretty much navigate our society successfully if we don't have the basics of reading, right? If we don't have the basics of writing, if we don't have the basics of math. And so through the self-directed learning process, and me not serving as a teacher, telling him what to do and telling him what his learning and should be, me really serving as a guide and a mentor in his learning process, connecting him with the learning experiences, the mentors, the community to support and facilitate his learning, really taught me what self-directed education and unschooling looks like. And so I really owe my children, Keanu and Judah, for the reason why we are in this liberated parenting family journey. If it wasn't for them, I think I would still be struggling to figure out how do we fix the system of schooling, which really is designed to do exactly what it's doing perfectly well, right?